Hey guys, welcome back. I hope everyone has had a great week and a great weekend. Today I'm going to talk about the physiological and cognitive effects I've received from having anxiety to PTSD and depression. The main purpose of this video is to identify self-awareness. It is very important to know your symptoms and what your body is telling you, how it's communicating with you, and how it's making you feel. The physiological effects I receive from anxiety and PTSD are rapid heartbeat, fatigue, which at times I feel faint, trembling, sweaty palms, nausea, which led to stomach aches, numbness, and muscle spasms. Now I'm going to elaborate a little bit on each one I've listed from my experience. With rapid heartbeat, my heart would beat so uncontrollably that I had no idea what to do. I remember this was back then when I didn't know how to control any of my symptoms and I had no self-awareness. So my heart felt like it was going to come out of my chest, and which later on led to for me to be fatigued. When I was fatigued, my body started to feel very weak, like I needed some food, as I mentioned before in my previous video. And even at times I felt like I was going to faint. I've only fainted once in my life, and this was when I was sick and I went for a run. I know, that's like probably the worst thing to do, but growing up as an athlete, my dad always told me the best way to heal your sickness is to go sweat it off. So I had a cold and a fever, and I don't know what I was thinking back then, but I'm a runner and I went for a run. I came back home to my mom. I took a shower and I blacked out in the shower and I fainted. So I already kind of knew the symptoms for fainting. So my body would get fatigued. But back then I'd freak out. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to faint. Next is trembling. When I was driving back then and my anxiety was really high, my arms and my hands would start trembling. And then later on, I'd feel like it just go throughout my whole body. So trembling was very scary to me back then. I'd freak out and it felt like my body was in shock. Then there's sweaty palms. This is probably the most frustrating symptom I still get till this day. Not as bad as before, but it just interrupts my driving with the steering wheel. It's hard to grasp it. And just knowing when I feel like my palms are all clammy, I already know that my anxiety is kicking in. So it's just really annoying. All these symptoms are annoying, but it's good to know, which I'm going to talk later on and throughout my next videos. With nausea, I didn't experience too much of it, but when I did get stomach aches because of my nerves. And with numbness, I still experience that till this day. The lining of my jaw will start to throb a little bit and then start to feel like it's getting numb. Then I used to get really bad muscle spasms, not as bad as before, but my body would just kind of just, I guess, freak out, or I don't know. I feel like a lot of it has to do with me working out too, just all the time. I work out all the time, so I feel like at times my muscles just freak out, especially if I know if I'm working out on a specific muscle that I haven't worked out in a while. Now let's go into the cognitive effects of anxiety. I look forward to talking about these effects because these are effects I've overcome. And even though they may still come my way, I know how to beat them. So that's a positive thing. That's a great thing. And I'm hoping that with what I'm sharing with you guys will help increase your self-awareness. The two main cognitive effects I received from anxiety were racing thoughts and having a negative mentality. The racing thoughts, I didn't know how to control, and I felt like I was losing my mind. So I had so many mental breakdowns and I felt so helpless. Having a negative mentality, that destroyed my whole life. I lost hope, faith, lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem. I lost my dreams, my goals, my motivation, my ambition, my purpose, my passion, my love, my kindness. I lost everything about me. I saw the bad in everything. I saw the what if in everything. I overanalyzed and overthought so many situations instead of just experiencing and living life and learning from my mistakes, that I overwhelmed myself without even realizing it. Since I had a mild case of PTSD, I grew a fear of driving, which I mentioned in my previous video and in my blog. And I also grew a fear of dying alone because of my first attack. I was alone and I didn't know what was going on with me. Then I also experienced panic attacks during the night. I would wake up and I couldn't breathe, so I'd have to grasp for air. And this was because I would constantly overthink about the drive I would have to make the next day and the areas I'd have to go through. And just knowing I was going to be alone, that made me feel overwhelmed and scared. Depression. Now, depression, I didn't have any physiological effects. It was all cognitive, which were the same as the anxiety cognitive effects, such as lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence, lack of hope, lack of faith, feeling closed up, not wanting to socialize. However, the difference was my mood started to change. So I have more of a lower mood, lower energy, and I would also have bad moods. So I became more frustrated and more angry. I didn't want to do anything. Sometimes I didn't even want to do my hair or brush my hair or take a shower, get out of bed. I remember one time my hair was so knotted because I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't like who I was, and my hair became so knotted that my ex-boyfriend had to brush it out for me, and like chunks of hair were just coming off. And he was so mad doing it. He was like, "Don't ever do this again, like don't go without brushing your hair, blah blah blah." And it was bad. I didn't want to do anything. I stopped working out. I stopped taking care of myself, my health. I had gained so much weight. I had to force myself to get out of bed, to want to go to stores. I remember one time I stayed in the parking lot like 10 to 15 minutes at a store parking lot, and I was just crying and crying because I couldn't get out of the car. I didn't have the strength to just get out of the car and walk inside the store. I started writing in my journal, and I started feeling better. I got out of the car, went inside the store. I had several of those times before where I felt so low, so ugly about myself, and it's a really ugly feeling inside. And I didn't develop depression just because of my anxiety attack from driving. I developed it over time from relationship problems in my past, and from family issues I was going through, and then just not liking who I was, where I was at the time with myself, career wise. And I didn't love myself at all back then. It really took a toll on my life. It destroyed me. It broke me. I lost who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. I'm going to talk a little bit more about self-esteem and confidence, just because that was huge for me when I went through that. When I lost my self-esteem and my confidence, I felt like I had no purpose to live. So now that I have my self-esteem, my confidence back, it does feel really good. And I've learned not to compare myself to other girls or to anyone else. Not to compare my looks, my weight, my whatever's going on in my life to anyone else's life, because if I do that, then I won't be happy. And that's what I did back then. I was comparing myself to a lot of females, like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough. Going through anxiety, PTSD, and depression, those are real mental illnesses, and they affect so many of millions of lives out throughout the world. They are real, you guys. They're real, and I never thought I would ever experience any of this. I've always, if you know me personally, I've always been the life of the party, always ready to go out, have fun, and I changed once these experiences hit me. I did something about it, and I had to change, and I'm really excited to share how I've changed later on. But for now, I want people to know that these are real cases, and these are cases that there's worse cases out there that happen that no one knows about, and people like myself, we've kept them inside for so long. But sharing with everyone, it makes me feel good, and I know I'm not alone, and I know others who are going through this are not alone as well. I know I talked about back then when I didn't like to do my hair and take care of myself, and you're probably thinking, oh, this girl still doesn't do her hair. But no, I'm very athletic. I'm known to wear headbands. All my friends know that I wear headbands, and I really don't wear makeup. I'm very natural. This was obviously, you could tell, this is part of my healing process. I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm not ashamed, and I love who I am. I love all my flaws, and I really hope that these videos really do touch others and I can relate to other people. So please, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and I so look forward to making these videos for you guys. Like, I get so excited, not only just because I'm doing what I love to do again, but just because I'm able to reach out to other people and to share my experiences with everyone, and just make an impact, and it just feels so good inside. So stay tuned, you guys, because my next video is going to be on coping strategies, which I cannot wait to share with y'all, on what I've found, what healthy outlets I've found to help me cope with my anxiety and my depression. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm also going to have special guests. I'm going to be interviewing some of my friends who are actual professionals, who are doctors, dance instructors, reporters, coaches. I'm going to have a whole bunch of people to interview and get their point of view, personal experiences on anxiety and depression, and how their professions are also a form of therapy. So you don't want to miss it. And remember, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Follow me on my Facebook page, my Instagram, my Snapchat. I have everything listed on the bottom of this video.